off, I'd like to thank all the members of the family for being here. Uh, One thing you all need to know is this is not personal, it's business. Hey, I'm talking here. It's not personal, it's business.
Bruce, you did a scrupulous job on that. That was absolutely wonderful. Hello, everyone. Steve Rizzo here, and welcome to Hey, I'm Talking Here.
Hey, I'm talking here.
Bruce, really, I laughed my ass off when I saw that with The Godfather, man. It was just absolutely brilliant of you. Um, anyway, folks, welcome to the show. Please share this with friends, family, business associates, whatever. Today's title is It's Not Personal, It Is Business, which I think is a lot of crap because business is personal. We're going to get into that a little bit later on. I love these titles that we create for ourselves to try and separate different facets of our lives. But when it comes to business and people saying you have to separate your personal life from your personal life from your professional life, it's something that really can't be done. Um, uh, and we're going to get into this a little bit later on. And this title, what I like about it too, it'll be offshoots into other discussions. So if anyone has an opinion, anyone has a suggestion, feel free to express yourself, and we will get to you as soon as we possibly can. So, hey, Jay Skinner, how you doing, my friend? It's good to see you also. Good to see you also. And by the way, folks, this show is brought to you by yourinnerbob.com. Conversations with Bob. Yourinnerbob.com is where you can get the book. That's the website for the book. It's getting incredible reviews right now. Sales have been skyrocketing. I was just telling everyone I just got a check from Amazon a while ago, and I was quite surprised and quite pleased, I must say. Thank you for purchasing the book. Thank you for your wonderful comments. When you do get the book and you read it and you like it, and I really believe you will, just give a review on Amazon. I would appreciate that. My goal and everyone's goal on this particular podcast is to get the message out to the masses. I think this message needs to be heard more than any other time in the history of this planet, because a lot of people are breaking away from that higher part of themselves because they're confused as to what that even means. So without any further ado, hello, Lori Thicken. How are you? Hey, my dear friend, you crack me up, and you crack me up too. And looking forward to seeing you again sometime in the near future. And anyway, let me bring on my wonderful team, my director, my producer, Mr. Bruce, who did a scrupulous job on the opening of this thing. It really blew me away. I was laughing my ass off.
Well, what I did was whenever you give me a title to a show, the first thing I do is I go to Google and I type in the title of the show and I type your name in to see if you ever wrote a blog about it. In some cases, like you wrote a blog about maybe 10 years ago or 12 years ago, and I integrate those images into the thumbnail.
Oh,
This
wow.
this time, the top thing that showed up was The Godfather,
Right.
and it was that interaction with Al Pacino.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
basically, I needed to integrate that. And of course, and then when I come to you, it's okay. Do Al Pacino, and you did Al Pacino from Scent of a Woman, and
Right.
not Al Pacino from The Godfather.
Hoo-ha.
Yeah, because Al Pacino in The Godfather is pretty much what you talk like that every day. That's your
Yeah.
that's your
Yeah,
regular accent.
I know. And then he did that one movie, Al Pacino, where I'm not out of order. You're out of order. This whole courtroom's out of order.
Yeah,
You know, Pacino and his rants.
but Marlon
Um,
Brando is a lot more classic imitation, and
oh yeah.
then we were able to pull up that footage.
My father did a great Marlon Brando. My father actually thought he was the Godfather. My father's Sicilian, and he would scare the shit out of my friends. My friends would come over, and my friends would go, "Mr. Rizzo, how you doing today?" My father would go,
I'm doing all good. How's everything with you and your family?
and my friends would just like quietly walk away from him. He was my father always thought he had this. He always had this thing like he always thought that what this country would need is an Italian for president. And I just thought that was an hysterical concept. My father always said,
What this country needs is an Italian for president. If we had an Italian for president, we wouldn't be putting up with the shit that we're putting up with now. And we used to laugh at that all the time. But you did a great job at that, and I do appreciate it. Let me bring up my co-host and my friend.
Oh my gosh, I'm back here laughing, listening to the impressions, which that's my favorite when you when you imitate people. It's my fave. Yes, Bruce, that was an amazing intro. It was amazing. So
I played it so many times. Eric is here. How you doing, man? Mr. Good, pretty good Brando. Eric, that was a very good Brando. Okay, Eric, please, if you're going to give a compliment, give it all the way. All right, dude? I don't want to say I have an ego, but shit, man, come on.
Yeah, so before I go, the last show we did, which was a few weeks ago, I showed I got a check, and they keep on sending me checks. So this time, this check came in just today, and I think I'm gonna stop doing the show because I can pretty much.
Oh yeah, you're good.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is from a total stranger. I have no idea who this is. They just sent me some money, and this one does not say not a real check. So I guess it is a real check. So
what?
If I were you, I would deposit it and see what happens.
Yeah, and then the FBI would call on me and says, "Excuse me, did you pass this check?"
Well, you didn't write the check out. Somebody gave it to you.
Yeah, but I tried to cash it though, or I tried to deposit it.
Oh, all right. I'll forget about my idea then. All right. Although I would laugh my ass off if you got arrested from the FBI.
Yeah, actually, a friend of mine, their father wrote a check to the IRS, and it cleared, and it came back to him, and they looked at the check and said he never signed it. So the bank, so the IRS accepted the check without a signature. The bank cleared the check without a signature and sent it back to him without a signature.
That's rare. That's very rare. I'm surprised that happened. But anyway, let's get into this topic right now, because I think it's a topic that can take us anywhere. It's not personal, it's business. And I always laughed at that, because in my view, that business is personal. And we were just talking about this before, Deb. If you get fired from your job, if the CEO comes up to you and says, "Hey, you're doing a good job. This isn't personal, it's business, but we got to let you go." How do you not walk away, not taking that personally when you got a family to feed? How do you not? Yeah. How could you not, on your way home, think what it is that you might have done to let them let you go and not anyone else?
Right.
This is personal. Yeah.
It begs then to wonder. You say, well, if I'm performing, but you say it's not personal, it's business, then it's 100% personal. And as you said before the show, probably it's always personal.
Yeah.
Many times it's personal.
I would say almost all of the time, if not all of the time, because, I've read, and I'm sure you folks have also, I've read so many of these personal development books, and so many of them always stress the importance of separating your personal life from your personal life from your professional life. And I thought about that, and you really can't, because both of them are parts of you that make up the whole of you. And no matter where you go, that other part will always be with you. For example, if you're having some personal problems at home, if there's some major issues, it's very difficult not to take those challenges to the workplace. And if you do, it very well could interfere with creativity and productivity and being at your fullest capacity, and vice versa. It's difficult not to take challenges from work to home. Most people do.
100%.
What's the first thing somebody says? "How was work?" "Oh man, forget it. I don't want to talk about it." And it's a vicious cycle. And I think the key is you just have to look at it from the perspective is it doesn't matter what other people think. Everything is personal. And how you deal with everything is your personal intake on how you deal with it. So the main purpose is how are you controlling everything that happens in your life, in business, in your personal life, in your marriage, with your kids, with your friends, socially, all the things that you do. It all wraps up to the person who you are. Everything, all of that encompasses who you are as a person. So it's a matter of managing your mind, right, no matter where you go. And if you look at it from that perspective, Am I making sense?
You're making sense because you're tying it then back to conversations with Bob, because
I didn't even know
the
that.
book is giving you examples of how Bernie, the main character, along with Bob, the two main characters, Bernie took the negativity that he had in his life and it overflowed to every other aspect of his life, work life balance. And so it's really important to, you're saying, and it is true, it's all like one big entree, it's all mixed together. And but at some point you do, when someone says it's not personal, it's business, it ouches no matter how you no matter how you take, it's gonna ouch. But then you got to say to yourself, but I am someone outside of my profession too.
Yeah. You know, when I was doing stand up, I went for so many auditions, and the comment was always, you did a really good job. This isn't personal. As soon as they said that, I took it personally. I took it personally because not only are you saying I'm not getting the part, but you're lying to me. Somehow there's a lie there. If it's not the full truth. I'm Sicilian. I'm from New York. We don't believe in honesty light. We believe in hardcore honesty. Just tell me.
Give it to me straight.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, I am so glad you just brought this up, because I wasn't even thinking of it from that angle. I was thinking about, you already currently have a job and then you're getting let go. What about, oh my gosh, the times that you are on stage, like a comedian up on stage trying to be accepted and get a laugh and get hired for the next gig?
Yep.
And how many times you're told no, or an actor or actresses that do the readings for the script and they're like, oh, you're not a good fit. And you have to be so resilient in those times, where there's one little spot for the right person that they think is the right person. And you have to be resilient and say, it isn't I'm not the right person for another part. So, you don't win them all, kind of deal.
And sometimes you're right. It goes the other way. Sometimes, when they say it's not personal, you're just not right for the part. But you in your heart, I know that I was. I know that I was. Sometimes I would read something and go, this was written for me, and just, I'd rather you tell me what I could have done, what I should have done.
Yeah.
And then there is some people that look for a certain type, a certain height, a certain weight, or whatever. And sometimes it's a certain attitude, but that's just in show business. But I think people go through that in every facet of life.
Yeah. That's so true. And, just for the average person going and interviewing for jobs.
Yeah.
And you don't get the job. And then you're like, God, that doesn't feel good. Like, ouch. And then it can sometimes stifle you in your pursuit for the job that will be a right fit for you. And that's where the book comes in again. It's a matter of perception, and your perception is your reality, and being able to have a mindset that there's something better out there for me. And I've heard so many stories about people who are in the workplace, they have this career and they think it's a right fit for them. And it may be that they've just gotten used to it and it's just their normal. And then they've been let go and they say, oh my gosh, that was the biggest blessing in disguise for me, because it pushed me to go do something else. And now I'm really happy. And I just had a conversation on the phone. A lady called me yesterday and she was asking my opinion about some things. I hadn't talked to her in years. And she said she was let go about 6 months ago from her job. And it really hurt. It was ouchy. And she said, but now I'm really passionate about this new project that I'm starting and my own business that I'm starting. And I am so happy. And so I thought, wow, okay, good. There's another check of a person who maybe her performance wasn't as good, or maybe it was, and they just did a major layoff. I mean, listen, there's so many different scenarios that have to do with it's not personal, it's business. When they're really legitimately downsizing and a lot of people are let go, I think that probably feels less ouchy. Yep. Because, they say misery loves company, but I think you're like, okay, this is legit. Like, people are being let go. They can't afford to pay us or whatever. But when you get into the one-on-one and you're a high profile employee and then you're told it's not personal, it's business, and you're thinking, I'm a top performer, what the hell?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And again, that we get back, don't tell me it's not personal. Just be honest with me. It would be, sometimes it's better to take someone, look, this is personally, you just didn't fit the part. You just didn't fit. You're not good for this position. So, take it however you want. We're just being honest with you.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something else for you. And I know it's not easy to take rejection, but I just always loved, I was always fascinated. This is business. It's not personal. And especially with the mafia.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, my take on the whole subject was something where you have a little bit more control, like in sales.
Yeah.
So sales is pretty much 100% personal because you're building relationships there. And if you look through the description notes on the show, we kind of go through like 4 or 5 different ideas on how to make your business personal and
Oh, yeah, good
build
point.
better engagement by both your employees and by your customers.
Well, let's just take that's a good point, Bruce. Let's just take the word personal. One of the books, how to, what was it? Dale Carnegie's book, How to Influence Friends, Win and Influence Friends. He said when it comes to sales, one of the best way to connect with a customer or a client is first talk about personal stuff. So if you're going in for an interview and you want to sell something, you're sitting in this CEO's immaculate, huge office. What Dale Carnegie is saying is like, look around, look for photos. And all of a sudden you notice a photo with his son playing Little League Baseball. And you say, well, is that your son? Yes. He likes baseball? Yeah, well, so does my son. Before you know it, you have a connection with this guy and you start talking about baseball. You start talking about Little League. Maybe the guy was a fisherman. Whatever it is, you look around what's in the office. And now you're making business personal.
Yeah.
And you can get that job just because you had a personal, not only were you qualified like maybe 5 other people, but all of a sudden you have a niche to go to that extra step because this guy liked you as a personal person. Not only does he know you're going to do the job, he likes you personally.
Right.
And also,
But then that's the same thing that can happen. That same personal connection in the beginning that gets you the job is also the thing that can make you lose your job.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a fine line there. I mean, you got to be careful.
Very
I've been
careful.
in the workplace where there have been people who really stay off to themselves and they don't intermingle and they don't do the extra stuff after hours. And people will say, what's wrong with them? Whatever. And I just feel like maybe that is a boundary for them. They really want to keep their work life and their personal life separate for whatever reason. And I value that, whatever your decision is. If you don't want to join in with the after party or after work drink or whatever, don't. And I don't take that personally because I feel like everyone has their own idea of how they want their business life to be.
I think, go ahead.
No, I just was thinking I want to talk a little bit about what happens when you're already friends and then you work together. That's a whole other level of business and personal life. And I don't even know if it's appropriate to say that. I don't know for sure. Don't mix business with pleasure. Does that come from already being friends and then working together? Because I think once that happens, that can be the demise of a really good friendship.
It could be, but it can also, and that's a great point. It could be the demise, but I think the key to that is you have to really get together as 2 friends and talk about what might happen. And no matter what happens, we will not destroy this friendship because there might be a point, especially if you're becoming a business partner with a friend.
Yeah.
And you own half and the other person owns the other half. And there are going to be times where you're going to have major disagreements.
Sure.
But you have to make a pact that, well, we're getting close to destroying this friendship and it's not worth it. If you can do that at the beginning, you might have a better chance. So you have to set these stipulations, like, right?
Communication is key. And my kids think I'm an over communicator, but it's like, okay, when you get to feeling like something's off or something isn't firing right. You got to let the ego go to the side and not take it personally.
Exactly.
Because if you're really working together and you care about this person as well, then the lines of communication need to be open, and you need to be able to say, this is how I'm taking this, and this is what I hope we can work through this, because it's not going very well.
Yeah.
And because here's the other thing, even off the subject of friendships friends working together, business partnering together, friends first and working. Let's go back to when you make a connection, you get a job, you're working, and you think you're doing great, and all of a sudden you get this CEO or the owner or whomever, and they take you and say, you know what, I'm going to have to let you go. It's not personal, it's business. What the heck? Like, where was the communication prior to this conversation?
Exactly.
So many times when it gets to that point and you're shocked because you didn't know, I don't think that's right. And I mean, I'm not a big CEO and I don't have a ton of employees, but I would hope to think that I would have the integrity and a moral compass to be able to say, if it really isn't personal and it's business, they need to understand before the firing, they need to do this, this, and this to improve their performance, or align their values with what the company stands for, whatever the case may be. Maybe it's provocative dress wear and you want to be able to be a more conservative vibe in the whatever. You got to be able to have that conversation.
Well, I think that's up to the other person to say, I would appreciate if you told me why.
Right.
But
we don't want to get to the firing before you have that.
You got to let me know why. I need to leave here knowing why.
Yeah.
And that might be, he might know, or he or she might not tell you this. But another aspect of this personal thing, one of the greatest compliments that I've been getting, especially lately in the past 5 years of my life, when I'm on the platform speaking to people, and I hear everything that people say, but one thing that's been really, I think, striking me with a lot of intensity is when they say, you just seem so personal on that platform. And that's something I discovered about myself, because my talents has always been, I'm very funny, I can captivate the audience, and I'm a wonderful storyteller. I knew that. But as I started coming along with life's challenges, I learned the power of being vulnerable and letting people know how I screwed up in my life. Now, I'm someone on a platform who's supposed to have it together, and I'm telling them stuff that I went through, and not even realize by me being that personal. I mean, you heard me, Deb. I get into real personal stuff, and I tell them stuff about myself that, well, they're going, but the saving grace in that is that there are people sitting in the audience going, holy shit, if he went through what he went through and made those mistakes, if he can get to where he is now, there's hope for me. I can do this too. And that's where being super personal, being vulnerable can be incredibly powerful. And that's how it can be great for business also.
Yeah. And there's so many different facets to that, because depending on the industry, like what you're doing, and you're a motivational speaker, you inspire people, and you being able to let your guard down and let people inside, that's a huge, big deal. However, if you're in a company and I come to work and I'm having marital problems or something, or my kids are messing up big time and I'm there crying, trying, there's a line, it depends on the industry, and it depends on the time and place. If you get too personal in business, it can backfire.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you're getting real personal and you start talking about some real personal stuff that doesn't, then people start getting really awkward. Yeah.
It's like, I don't know.
It's like,
it's like, hey, Debbie, it's not personal. It's the business. You need to go home. Bye-bye. See you later. Yeah. I know. I'm trying to learn your accent, because I think it's so funny. I think there are things that you say.
Told me that. You laugh at me sometimes and I'm being serious.
Yeah, I know. Just in regular conversation, and you're like, yeah, this. And I'm like, oh,
That's what I'm talking
funny.
about.
I gotta like bring myself back thinking he's being serious right now, Debbie. He's not trying to be funny. So
I know. And I noticed you laughing. And I'm so glad you brought that up to me last week. You're telling me, Steve, I can't help it. But sometimes you get so serious and you just make me laugh.
oh my gosh, it's even funnier when you're serious.
Oh, that's
It's
funny.
even more funny when you're serious and you're no, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'm
You know
telling
what
you.
I'm
I'm like,
telling you?
oh, this is hilarious. And I got to bring myself like, pay attention, Debbie. This is like, he's not trying to be funny. So, but yeah, so this whole thing, let's talk about this too. I actually took notes on this because in your article that you wrote about this show coming up, you were talking about coming from the angle of not personal business with customers. So here's a whole other, arm segue to what this quote means. Now, I was raised where I always heard the customer is always right. The customer is always right. And that's so true, because if you're trying to have a lucrative business, you want your clients, your customers, because without them, you're nothing. You're not going to make any money. So, but where's the line? Where's the line between giving good customer service and then being able to say, okay, this isn't personal, it's business. I got to cut you loose.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, if you have a troubled customer that you really want to be loyal to every customer, even if you're not making a lot of bank off of them, you still I would want, as a respectful, loyal business owner, any customer is valuable, whether they're giving you lots of sales or just a few. And I would give everyone the same respect. But at some point, even with a big client, if they're bringing you toxic energy and a lot of extra stress and they never seem satisfied, at what point do you cut them loose and say, you know what, it's just not a right fit? It's not personal, it's business. That is kind of personal, because no,
you're 100% right. I think the toughest job today is to be a ticket agent, a gate agent at an airlines. When a flight is canceled, you talk about being. It was not even a year ago. I'm a big flyer with Delta Airlines, and the flight was canceled, and they had, as usual, one gate agent trying to rebook an entire plane.
Mm-hmm.
The line was like 30 some odd, 40 some odd people, even longer. Now, I didn't have to be concerned about, because I'm a diamond member with
Delta.
Delta.
I'm a really professional flyer.
So I get on the next flight, so I don't give a shit, So, but I heard this one woman who got so personal and so vulnerable, the gate agent, and she was getting crap from everyone. And I'm admiring her, but this one guy looked at her and just said, well, if you would just do your job and listen to what I'm saying, use your head. You do have a brain, don't you? He said to her. And all of a sudden, she took a deep breath. She started getting emotional. She didn't quite cry, but she just said, I'm so sorry, but it's not my fault that it's raining. It's not my fault that there's a thunderstorm. I don't fly the plane. I don't own the airlines. It's not my fault that there's no one with me helping me. I'm doing the best that I can, but apparently you don't get that. You're so caught up in your own drama. You don't see what I'm going. This is word for word. You don't see what I'm going through dealing with all these people. And she goes, I'm sorry, I can't help you. And this guy, he got just as emotional as she did, and he totally apologized.
Good.
And everyone in that line took that personal comment and straightened up and was totally polite to her, because she was able to tell her truth, her personal opinion.
Let me read what Eric says. Eric Flanoy, hey, keep it in context. Transparency can be a good thing or a hot mess. Vulnerability with caution. Yeah. You got to know your crowd. Hi, Sandy.
Hi, Sandy. Hi, all. Let's bring up a few more comments there. Like Eric
I can't see the comments on that. Laurie Justin Fickenferro. I agree. In collections, I try to start up a personal conversation with my debtors. It does work most of the time. Then sometimes they curse me out. It was
Yeah,
probably Steve. No.
Lori has a tough job because she has to get money from people. And that's her
Oh,
job. That's her job.
So
yeah.
I'm
No,
going to
that
swap
would
out
be
here real quick.
very
So I'm going
good.
to drop out and bring in Jen.
Oh, yay!
Jen's here.
Hello.
Hi,
Oh my
Jen.
gosh, we're 2 days in a row. I get to see you.
I know this is like the best week ever.
That's
We
awesome.
we never know where you are. Where are you now?
I am in Florida. Zoe is very busy here.
Hey, Zoe. Oh, I love that dog.
Look,
Zoe's
Zoe just said it's not personal, it's business. I'm
I'm
doing my
Exactly.
business.
I'm doing my
Why
business.
are you sharing this with the world, Mom?
That's awesome.
That's funny. That's funny because Jen, the title of this program is not personal, it's business.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the dog's doing his business. She's doing a business right now.
You know, I couldn't have planned it any better.
I know.
That's awesome.
She
Oh,
reminds
my
me.
goodness, that is so
I've been to their place and I've seen that dog. The dog reminds me of Droopy Dog. He's got those droopy ears, and leave me alone. I'm doing a poop right now. Please don't be very,
It's like,
very
why do you
much.
You know what? I'm talking here.
I love it.
Hysterical.
That is so funny. Oh,
Hey,
my
thanks for
goodness.
hopping on.
I want to
Yeah,
ask
I
you a
wanted to
question,
say
Jen.
hey.
I want to ask you a question.
Okay,
Have
let's
you
go.
ever had to have a conversation in business and tell someone it's not personal, it's business?
Oh, I don't know that I've used those words, even though I've thought them.
Yeah.
This is so interesting because I was having a conversation with my parents on the way home from dinner tonight about a tough conversation I need to have with someone, and it's not personal. It's business, and it's about how she can improve her communication, and it's my duty to tell her, but I also don't want to. She's very sensitive, so I don't want to offend her.
That's a tough, and we were talking about that, being able to communicate. Like, you're not going to tell her, okay, so I'm not telling you what you're going to do, but I would assume you're going to have a conversation with this person because you, you're right, as the business professional, you have to have these hard and tough conversations that aren't fun. But when you have your conversation, it's not to necessarily fire her, it's to communicate what needs to happen in order for it not to get there.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there's like no, like the thought of firing is not even on the table. Do you know what I mean? Like it's so far from that, but it's for someone in an association I'm involved in, and you know, some people wish that there was better communication, and I have to listen to those people and say, okay, let me look into this. And when I looked into it, I'm like, you're right. And it's such a hard conversation because this person is doing an amazing job. It's not like she's slacking, not coming to work, you know, like she's doing an amazing job. And so it's definitely going to be an interesting conversation. But if I don't tell her, it's also not fair because then she has no opportunity to improve.
Oh gosh, that is so well said. And absolutely you would be like that to your people. But you know, I think Steve and I, we were going straight to the situationships that happen when it's like all of a sudden you're getting this message from your boss that you're let go, and it's not personal, it's business. And we think that 9 times out of 10 it probably is.
But it's hard.
I agree with that.
But it's hard not to take it personally, no matter what they say.
Yes, for sure. And like, if it really wasn't personal, why didn't they have those conversations to begin with? Why didn't they say along the way, hey, wanted to give you some feedback?
That's right. That's right.
That
Because
could never
then
come
when
as a surprise.
Right. That's right. So because when it gets to that point, you kind of know what's coming. And I think that would help you not take it so personally if you knew it was coming, because you had the opportunity to make the adjustments, to make the improvements. And if you didn't, then you understand I didn't do what I was supposed to do, and I can accept this better now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
that's why a great title for a book would be "It's Business is Personal."
Yeah.
I like that.
It
I like
really is.
that.
Or
I
a
mean, if you
book
think
called
about it.
Everything's Personal.
You know, and we were talking earlier, Jen, about, you know, Dale Carnegie and his books, How to Influence People. You know, you go into a CEO's office and you're there for a job interview, and he'd already talked to 3 or 4 people that he thought were really going to be good. But then all of a sudden, this one person sitting there, and he sees a photo of his family, and the little boy's playing, his son is playing baseball, and his son plays baseball, and he starts talking. They start talking about their sons, and then they get into another topic about fishing or whatever. Now, this CEO likes this guy on a personal level. So not only can he fulfill the job with all his credentials, now he likes him as a person.
Right.
Yeah.
He's going to hire him. He's going to make an
Yeah.
offer.
And, you know,
Yeah.
and when I'm speaking to groups, and another thing that I offer my clients, and a lot of speakers do not do this, but it's even in my section on my website, I offer my time with them after my presentation or before, if they're having a special dinner or an event, or if they'd like to go out to dinner somewhere, I am available. So after I kick ass on the
love that.
platform, then all of a sudden they like me as a person because I engaged in conversation with them at dinner. They got to know me personally. I'm making them laugh their asses off. And I got to know someone that I consider a friend now. And you get a lot of spin off that way because I made business personal.
Yeah. In your
Yes.
industry, it fits.
Yeah.
It fits.
Yeah,
But then I was
especially.
telling him,
Oh, sorry.
I was telling him earlier, you can do that from the platform and show your vulnerability because that's going to connect people. You're a motivational speaker. That fits. But if you walk into a corporate job and you're like, I remember the time when the people are like, listen, that's TMI. I don't
That's
know.
whining. That's not being vulnerable. That's whining.
Well,
You know,
yeah, there you go.
there are people in the workplace. Hey, Joe, how you doing? Well, like, my arthritis is bad, and my wife yelled at me this morning. I didn't even do anything. And, you know, and my kids, no one listens to me. And oh, gee, can you crack my back, please?
Yeah, those are the ones that are like, oh, I shouldn't have asked.
I know. Sometimes that's the worst thing to do is ask somebody, how you doing? Well, if you have time.
Right. If you have a minute, let me tell you. No, don't tell me.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. But let's see what Sandy says.
Charlie just had her own moment of it's not personal, it's business. So now we're good to go.
Yeah.
Cool.
The dog had the little business on the. Okay. Sandy Archer says it's hard to believe that it's not personal, especially if they have shared how great you are and personal conversations. Yeah. It's touchy, man. I mean, rejection is never going to feel good. And I feel like, just like with what Jen's talking about, though, she's going to say how great this gal is and that there's not anything on the table, even thinking about not having her part of the company.
Yeah.
However, to get better and to continue to get better, just communication has to be better.
And I when you said everything is personal, it made me think, like, you're right. It is personal, right? Like it is about someone else. Yeah. But the key for that person is to not take it personally. So even though it is personal, doesn't mean you have to take it personally, because when we take it personally, we act out of emotion. Mm-hmm. And usually it's a negative emotion versus just take it as it is. And okay, you just gave me some great data, feedback, whatever it may be. Now let's use that to improve or grow.
Well, that's a great point, Jennifer, and that's part of the human condition. Because if you ever notice, there are those who take life's challenges and they look at them as opportunities for growth. They know there's something within them that can meet that challenge head on. You know, they know life is tough. It's filled with ecstatic times and sad days, ups and downs, but they know they ride the waves of change and uncertainty with equanimity. But then there are those that take challenges personally.
Mhm.
And soon as
Yes.
they're confronted, they're out to set a goal and achieve a goal. Everything's going fine. They hit a wall. The first thing they go is, why is this happening to me? Every time I try to do something, it never works. I'm always going 2 steps up and 3 steps back. Why is it that everybody has what I want? I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. And before you know it, and some people call this negative self-talk. I call it self-curse talk, because you're casting a spell on your life. And
Mm-hmm.
they're their own enemies because they take it personally, not realizing that you're going to be confronted with challenges. Everybody does, but it's what you do with the challenge is what makes the difference. And some people don't get it because they take it personally.
And you said,
Go ahead. I want to hear what you say, Jen. Say it.
well, Steve said 6 words that were really key there. People will say, why is this happening to me? And that immediately in their mind puts them into victim mode, victim mentality, right? Instead of, wait, why is this happening for me? And when you change that one word,
Yep.
and you ask yourself a better question, now you can find a better outcome. And listen, shitty things happen to people all the time. And it's very easy to say, why me? Why is this happening to me? But if you can take something shitty and say, why is this happening for me? And then look for a potential positive outcome, look at where it can go.
Yeah.
I love
It's like,
that.
yeah, it's like I said, some people look at it as an opportunity. Like, wow, this happened to me. There's a problem, but I know there's a solution. Boy, this could be
Right.
better than what I thought. And that's the whole mindset. Yeah.
I love this, because then it just kind of like popped in my head. The fact that there are so many of my friends who have life coaches, and it has changed them for the better so much, in the way of, they say you don't know what you don't know. So if you're
Mhm.
constantly feeling, it's very easy to feel a rejection, or to feel like it's personal and my feelings are hurt. Like, I'm doing the best I can. I'm working hard every day. And then I get negative feedback like, oh my God. Instead of thinking, learning from other people like a life coach who can say, but wait a minute, just like what Jen just gave us, that little nugget of great information, like, change that one word. Why is everything happening to me? Why is this happening for me? How can I grow from this experience and get better? It's incredible to watch transformations with people when they change their language, which we also discussed, Jen discussed.
Oh,
last
that was
night.
so fun.
Yeah.
I had a blast.
Guys,
That's
I'll
when
be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
You know what we should do, Steve? We should show, because this is relatable to every circumstance, work, life, balance. The word according to Bob about family life and how work can get in there and cause problems in other facets of your life. I think this would be a great segue to the little video about that with word according to Bob. What do you think?
Yeah, we could, that's a good idea. You want to wait until Jen gets back on, or?
Well, it's since she's not on, it'll be the video. We won't see her anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, folks, stick around and watch this. This is the word according to Bob.
I love
one
it.
of the videos that I did. It's about are you married to your job? One day, I was sitting on a beach in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I noticed a couple holding hands and walking along the shoreline. They looked so peaceful, like an advertisement for an island getaway. And then it happened. His cell phone went off. The woman gave him a look as if to say, "Go ahead, I dare you." I couldn't believe it. The idiot took the dare. Not only did he answer the phone, but he let go of her hand and walked away and talked for 10 minutes. The woman just shook her head in disgust, walked over to their beach setup, which was maybe just 20 feet from mine, and she sat down. By now, the couple looked like prime candidates for the Dr. Phil show. Now, he walked over to her and he tried to explain, but what I heard in my head was the catchphrase that boxing fans know so well. "Let's get ready to rumble." Ding, ding, the woman came out swinging. "How could you?" she said. "I can't believe you brought your phone with you, but you had the nerve to answer it again." Now,
What the guy should have done was just listen to what she had to say. But of course, he didn't. Hey, he jabbed in his defense, if it wasn't for my business, we wouldn't be on this vacation. The woman rebounded with a couple of blows. Really? You call this a vacation? This is our anniversary, for crying out loud. We've been here for 3 days so far, and you can't stay away from your cell phone. And just so you know, I have a job too with a lot of responsibilities, but I know when to put it aside. You bring your job with you everywhere you go. It's like you're addicted. She picked up her stuff in a huff, and she started to walk, took a couple of steps towards the hotel. Then she stopped. She turned and delivered the final blow. You know, we used to be married to each other, she said. Now, you're married to your job. Does this story come as a surprise? I mean, let's face it. We're living in a world that's moving at an incredible pace. And it's easy to get lost with misplaced feelings and values. I know far too many people today who were so caught up in trying to make a living that they've forgotten what it's like to live. We've adopted the illusion that money, power, and fame can fill the emptiness and make us feel complete. Now, don't get me wrong, because I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with these things, not at all. It's the obsession with them that really makes them dangerous. What am I getting at? I'll tell you. Maybe it would be wise for us to come to the realization that sometimes what we think we want in life may not necessarily be what we need in order to lead a truly successful, happy life. Maybe, just maybe, we're leaving out important personal factors from the equation of what truly completes us as individuals. Maybe it's just a simple matter of occasionally taking a sacred time out to nourish our souls. Maybe it's just a matter of making a slight shift, finding your balance and choosing a better way. Or maybe there are just too many maybes in this story. And that's the word, according to Bob.
Oh, she's back. You know what? That was really good, because as I watched that again, it just made me think even more about Jen's conversation last night about life and work balance. And sometimes if you're struggling at home because the wife or the husband or whomever, or the kids don't think you're spending enough time with them, then you go to work and you don't feel like, you know, they appreciate you, and it's like a whole, and you're overworked and everything suffers. And
Yep.
Jen was talking last night how she tapped into, you don't have to work harder and you don't have to work more hours. You just have to work more efficiently and find joy in all of it, and everything works out. So
The
much
joy
more
is the key factor. The joy is the key factor. Most people have the mindset today, especially in corporate America, and they create a dangerous mindset that they're not even aware that they're creating, is I'll be happy when I achieve the goal. No. Because when you do that, you're putting your happiness on hold. Actually, the goal should be the journey towards the goal. As a matter of fact, that's my new presentation that I'm offering corporate America: success in the journey towards the goal.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's all about that. And high achievers are the biggest victims to this. You're not even aware what you're doing. I'll be happy when I get to where I want to go. When things start going the way that I want and everything turns around, that's when I'll enjoy myself. And you put your happiness on hold, and you're not even aware that you're doing it. Because the only time you can be happy is in the now, in the moment of whatever it is that you're achieving. The United States Constitution says life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I think it should read life, liberty, and happiness of the pursuit. That's what.
Ooh, that's powerful.
Well, I'm just saying.
I mean, when he went off on the Constitution of the United, I thought, oh, where are we going here? And he just
George Washington was dead. No.
And he's like, oh,
No, but I'm serious. That was the key that turned my life around in the past couple of years, when I realized, what am I doing to myself? You know, what am I doing? It wasn't until I sold my beautiful big house out east on Long Island with 3 acres of land with a greenhouse and everything, 3 floors. And now I'm living in a condo, 2-bedroom condo that I love. I haven't been happier in my entire life. This is mine. And I love it. I feel comfortable. I can't wait to get home when I'm traveling. And And it just proved to me the biggest lesson I ever learned, that you don't need things to be happy.
Right.
Happiness is all around you. We're just bypassing all the great stuff that life has given us.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying this to preach. I'm just saying that it's a simple thing. If you just allow yourself to see the stuff that's around you. And once I started noticing it, I became more relaxed. It just, so.
The
I don't know.
happiest people, like Jen was saying. I mean, she was overworked,
Yeah.
had it all, trying to burn a candle at both ends, and then
Mhm.
got grounded and did the reset. Oh, I'm obsessed. Like, I love that. I
We had
love
so
that.
much
And
fun.
so you both are testaments to this. Highly successful, happy human beings. And I guess to tie it to our topic, which is it's not personal, it's business, is to be able to tap into that joy of yourself and be in the moment to figure out how you can handle things that might not seem so pleasant, and how you can handle it and change your perspective to find out how you can be better and better
Yep.
things coming for you, like you guys did.
And the key is, Deb, is the key word is personal. What does that mean to you?
Mm.
What does that mean to you? Personal, because man, if you can get into who you really are, and a lot of people can't,
Yeah, it's hard.
that means major decisions have to be made. And, I got divorced after 34 years of marriage. And I told you once, and I think your jaw dropped when I said this to you, Debbie. Sometimes I had to do what was right for me. And sometimes doing the right thing, the personal right thing for you, could be the most painful thing that you can do.
Mm.
But you got to do it. And once you do it, you go through the pain, you go through the guilt, whatever it is, there's a release, and there's a point where you just wake up and you just go, wow, I did it. And I don't feel that hurt anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but that's makes me think a lot. It's not a but, it's more of an and, like a follow-up question to that. So if it feels right, but it also feels so wrong, right? Because the pain,
Yes.
but then it also, like, the value feels
Yes.
right.
Yes.
What do you like? How do you pursue that? How do you push through it?
There's a higher part of you that has the solutions to all of your problems. And that part of me was talking to me for years when I was married, saying there's something missing. And what was missing is my connection to my authentic self. And I knew, as wonderful as my wife was, and I know a lot of people will disagree with this, and it doesn't matter at this point. I don't even know how we even got into this, but since we're here, I just knew that authentic part of myself was missing. And I knew the only way I can connect with it is if I was on my own and did what I'm supposed to do and spend significant time by myself to find out who the real Stephen Francis Rizzo really was. Staying married would have been too comfortable for me. And I could have dealt with that, and I could have stayed there, and I could have been comfortable. For some people, that's cool. But for me, I knew it wasn't. She was going this way, and I was going that way. Our
Wow.
lives really started changing. Some people can deal with it, and some people can hide their feelings. And I just knew, as painful as it was, I was very shocked that I even did it. And to make it even worse, my family was going, "What, are you crazy?" And I said, "I don't know. Maybe I am. Maybe I am." And it was that's when I started writing my book, Conversations with Bob. And it was the forward in the book is when I was on a beach in Venice Beach at 4:30 in the morning. And I moved to California to face my demons. What was wrong with me when I left home? I left my wife. My opening line was, as I was walking with heart-wrenching tears, cursing at God, saying, "What the hell is wrong with me? And what am I doing here?" And I took another step, and I heard this voice saying, "You know why you're here, and you know what's wrong. You're just too caught up in your own drama to find the answer." And then, where the hell did this come from? That was my authentic self. That's the first time the God part of me started talking to me. I took another step, asked another question, another answer came. I took another step, and all of a sudden I'm going, holy shit, what is this? And I went home to my apartment in Marina Del Rey, and I'm typing another question, and another answer came. And before you knew it, I knew I was talking to God. I knew it. And everything started making the clarity just started. It took a while, but then I started realizing, wow, I wrote a book. I'm writing a book here. Then my imagination kicked in. Then my sense of humor kicked in. And everything just fell into place. But I had the balls, shall I say, to make a decision that I knew was going to cause a lot of heartache for a lot of people.
So
Well, you
it wasn't personal, it was business.
it was personal business. Yeah.
It was very personal
It was
for
personal
everyone
business.
involved.
That's so true. But when you said, I have to say this because it popped in my head. When you were saying I could have stayed and be comfortable in that life, but really you weren't. It was
No.
being in an uncomfortable situation that was just your normal. It was what you were used to, but it was still uncomfortable. And the first time you heard that inner higher power self was then. You just didn't know it because that's what propelled you to leave. And the thing is, getting through leaving a situation that feels safe, but it's still uncomfortable, and then powering through more uncomfortability to get to the other side to where you are now. That's very brave. A lot of people just stay because it would be hard. I don't know, but it would be hard. And I know your story, so I feel that.
But when you're in a business that I'm in and Jennifer's in, you know things. You're very in tune with yourself, and you can't lie to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm not saying I'm better than other people, but you just know things where you can't hide the truth. You can't hide it.
Yeah.
It's there. And that one thing that was there was saying this isn't for you anymore. And the other part was going, well, you make it work. And I did. I tried for years. Yeah. It's not that I woke up in the morning and said, well, I'm leaving. This was years, years before I made the decision. And then one day I just said, I can't do this anymore. I can't.
And in the speaker business especially, it's hard to show up for others and be on that stage, that platform for others if you're not being there first.
I felt like a hypocrite.
Right.
And that's in the forward of the book. It's in the forward of the book because I felt like here I am telling people how to live a better life, and I was miserable. I mean, you wouldn't want a lifeguard, that to save you that couldn't swim, would you?
Yeah.
Right.
No. I'll get you in a minute. I'm gonna doggy paddle.
I'm giving these people strategies and look at my life. But when I made the decision and it all started coming to place, it took a long time, but it was worth it. It was worth it. I finally found who I am, what I'm supposed to be doing. Life became easier. The things that I thought were strenuous are no longer strenuous. I have no problem saying no to people. I'm not it's an amazing, enlightening experience.
There's something you brought up. Oh, hello, Joe.
Joe, who's that big energy lady in the bottom?
There's something you brought up, Steve, that we also talked about last night, and it's this concept of being comfortably uncomfortable. And so many people go through life and go through the motions feeling uncomfortable, but that's all that they know is what they're living through. And so they find a way to find comfort in it and to be okay with it when, like, look at how much better it is on the other side.
Yeah. Jennifer, there were times when I was sitting in my own living room that I loved. And when you start saying to yourself, it's frightening when you say to yourself, I don't belong here. There's something, I don't feel comfortable here. I don't feel comfortable here. And when you're on the road and you're saying to yourself, I'm going home, and there were many great aspects of it, but there was still something like, something's not right. Mm-hmm. And then you have to face what it is that isn't right. And that's what I faced. I hope this is making sense to people, because
I'm so glad we ended going in this direction, because it's a big part of, like what you did, and like Jen being here is the icing on the cake, because we can sit here all day with the topic and say, it's not personal, it's business. But what does that mean? And then what about the aftermath of how you handle that after it's done, after you have that feeling, and you guys giving these different perspectives of how to be in touch and be self-aware enough to understand, and the language that you use, like Jen said, this happened to me. No, it happened for me. There's something better out there for me. And think that way to not only help you in your future, but to actually get you through the hard moments.
Yes. And I spent 2 years in California. I shocked myself. I woke up one morning and it was that higher part of me again, the God part, Bob part, whatever you want to call.
He thinks he's God, people.
I know. And I had to move to California, and I stayed in Marina Del Rey for 2 years. And that's where the clarity came. That's where most of the book came out. And I just...
Isn't that funny, Jen? It was at the beach.
I was just going to say there's so much connection there to water. The fact that you were by the water and I mean, I could go on for days about this, but
Jennifer, if anyone would have heard me on that beach that morning at 4:30 in the morning, I know what it's like to go out of my mind. I went out of my mind. I know what it's like.
But it's California. Isn't that normal?
They probably thought
it was Venice Beach too. Oh, it's just
right. They thought it was fine.
Yeah,
they were like, hang loose.
It was, but you know what? You can't go wrong when you're listening to that authentic part of you. You can't. Some people may be hurt along the way, but you know, had I stayed, there might have been a more, I don't know, a harder ending. Because then I would have maybe there would have just been anger and you know, it would have ended in such a harsh way. You know, I don't know. I don't know, but
I think the universe, God, whatever, gives us signs, and we ignore it until we can't ignore it, because the signs get louder and louder and louder and louder until they're being spoken directly to you, and it's like, wake up.
But because of what we do, the signs were evident. Some people can block the signs out. The everyday person that doesn't, you know the law of attraction and how it really works, and that you are in control of your life. You are the creator of your success and happiness. You're the only problem you will ever have. We've read so much, we write so much, we speak to people about these strategies that can help us with our lives. It's because I knew this stuff, which is what gave me the advantage to understand what was happening to me, the psychology involved. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I might have stayed and faked it out.
Yeah, that's really empowering what you just said, because a lot of people stay because they don't know any better, and they can't hear their own inner voice. They know, there's a lot of people walking around angry, and they may not even know why.
Well, the fear of change is more powerful than the fear of staying in the situation.
Right. But what you did and what you said, which is so powerful, is you got close to your values and you listened to, what do I need to do that feels right? And that's the key part.
Yep.
And sometimes, like you said, the thing that feels right might be the most terrifying and the most difficult thing to do, but you did it. And I'm sure, your family were like, she's a great person. What are you doing? And you're like, yeah, I know she is amazing, but I'm leaving because I'm finding myself,
Yeah. And it's funny too, because when you go to find yourself, you never realize how lost you really were. You just had no idea on what was the extension of yourself that wasn't being revealed, the true part of you. And that's why my presentations now are just, I don't know, I feel so complete on the platform.
Oh, that's so cool.
I'm so comfortable. And I
You're
feel
you.
I have, excuse me?
You're you.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So yeah, it's true. Even with your marriage, it wasn't personal. She was amazing. It was Steve Rizzo's business he needed to take care of internally. And
I did everything I could to make it easier because I gave her everything.
Yeah.
Nothing. I took absolutely nothing. I wanted nothing. I had to fire my attorney because she kept saying to me, you sure you're doing the right thing? You're giving her everything. You're going to regret it. And I said, if you do this again, I'm going to let you go and get someone. I had to get someone else.
Yeah, because
she
they
just
thought
wouldn't-
you've lost your damn mind.
I have no regrets. I did what I had to do.
Yeah.
Way to
You know?
go. Way to go.
Yeah. So
I'm so glad I got to join and say,
I am
hey,
too.
this is amazing.
I can't believe I revealed this part of myself in front of everyone. That's what I can't.
We didn't
That's
know that
why
it
we
was
love
going to
you.
turn into doggy business. It's not personal. It's I'm doing my doggy business, and then marital business.
I
You
mean,
just
what are
never
the
know.
odds?
That's what's so beautiful. Steve and I never. It's like we shoot from the hip every time and just see where the conversation takes us, and it just you never know where it's going to end up. But it always makes sense in the end. What we talk, you know.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it was this was good. We had a lot of good responses from people. My friend Jeff Thacker just said, hey, Steve. Hey, Rizzo. There's so many people on here right now.
Yo,
Hello.
There he is.
Rizzo.
There he is. Yo, Rizzo.
Yo, Rizzo. What's up, Rizzo? Jen's
Sales
new book,
icing.
Sales Icing. Get the whole cake and the icing on every deal. That's awesome.
That's fabulous. I love it. Oh, man. Thank you guys for inviting me. This was
Yes.
amazing.
Glad to
Yeah.
have you. I love you. You're
Oh,
amazing.
I love you too.
Yeah,
love
I'm
you
so
both.
glad you joined us. I really am. And
Had lobster with the parents and came on
Oh,
over
yeah.
to the podcast.
Oh,
when
yeah.
this is over, I'm going to be sitting here in my office going, what the hell did I just tell everybody? Holy shit.
You told everyone how you found you.
Wow. Okay.
Here
And
he
I love
is.
it. And I
In
love
the
it.
Next
But wouldn't
show,
it
I'll
just,
just say
like,
to everyone, I didn't mean a word I said.
Can I retract that? Hey Bruce, can you take this live and cut it up into pieces and take that part out?
But hold
What do you-
on. Like if you didn't make those moves, Steve, you would not be sitting here on this show today, and all these people watching would not know you the way they know you, and they would not have the value that they have from you. So the fact that you made those moves and you can be sitting here today to speak these truths is so huge.
Mhm.
Well, and that's just it. I would be a hypocrite on the platform because I know when I tell my story on the platform, there were so many people in the audience going, oh my God, I'm not the only one.
Mm,
I'm not the only one. And every speaker should always, if you don't tell people what you went through in your life and how you overcame it, you're cheating your audience and you're cheating
Mhm.
yourself because they look at you as someone who can help them, as the teacher, as someone who can give them value, life lessons.
Mm.
And unless you can become that vulnerable and tell them what you went through, and if they see that person with that status on the platform and they're saying to themselves, holy shit, if he went through that, I can go through what I'm going through because he
Right.
did it.
Right. And you got to the other side and you lived to tell the
That's
story.
my point. That's just
Mhm.
it. So you have to be able to do that, to make that connection, because it made me realize that we're all the same. We all have the same fears and challenges. We just have different stories to tell. If you tell your story, people relate to it.
Mm.
Years
Exactly.
ago, that's how people related to each other before they even knew how to write. They would tell stories.
I don't think that's changed. I think
No.
that.
Yeah.
The
I know. Yeah.
You know, it's funny too, and I know we have to wrap up, but it is so true, and it just made me think about how people will see you either on social media or on a stage or whatever. If they don't know who you are, you know, human nature is to just immediately get an idea of who you think that person is immediately by how they look or what they drive or what they're wearing or whatever. We're visual and we make an immediate assumption of who that person is, we think. And if you're really your true self and you open up and people can relate to you, you're also more likable.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
and I've always taught
Oh,
my
yeah.
kids, I would always say, don't mend and mold and try to be anybody else, because when people get to know the real you and they like you, you really know that they like you, not
Yeah.
some facade that you're projecting because you want to be on stage or you want to
Yeah.
have more friends. You know, I say just really be who you are and your tribe will find you and it's going to feel right. And, you know, Steve, it's even back to what you did with, you know, leaving your wife. It wasn't where you needed to be any longer.
Well,
you know?
you just hit it, because that's the key that set me free. Was what you think you want in life may not necessarily be what you need,
Mm-hmm.
because for the most part, what you want feeds the ego. What you need feeds your soul. And every now and then you got to stop and ask yourself, which part of me am I feeding now? So I wasn't feeding my true self, my soul, enough. It was the want. I want success. I want money. I want a nice house, and I want this. And
At the end of
that
the
was
day.
keeping me away from what I needed,
Mm-hmm.
which is the real me.
And now you see it in living color right here, the real Steve Rizzo.
What were you going to say, Jen?
Well, this is in the moment, I'm sure, saying you wanted the divorce or whatever, like, was so upsetting to your wife if she wasn't, or ex-wife, if she wasn't expecting it, right? But also, not only would it have not been fair to yourself, it wouldn't have been fair to her.
I thought
No,
to stay in something that, like, you're not in, mentally.
I just talked to her last week, and she's remarried. She's living in Maryland. She said she's very happy. And I hung up the phone. I got very emotional. That took so much pressure off of me, even though, I was able to deal with it, but it still made me feel even better, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was happy for her.
Yeah, that's so cool.
I wanted to say, see, it's a good thing I left.
Wait, you didn't say that?
No, I didn't say that.
Yeah, like what? Really? He probably did.
Surprised.
It would have been funny. Hey, I knew I was doing the right thing the whole time.
Yeah.
I did it for you, honey. Hey.
Oh my God.
You've got
Oh
what
my
you
gosh,
need.
I
Go
think-
for
I
what you
think-
want. Look at
I
all the
think now-
people who are here. Eric Bam, Ron Goodwin. Hi, guys. Eric, Lorna. Hi, guys.
I don't know. When he starts pulling out the Dangerfield, I think it's time to wrap.
Well,
All
I'll tell
right.
you. All right. Hey, Jen, listen,
Peace and love.
today I started delving into that project we're working on together, that book.
Okay.
I have some more ideas for it.
Wow,
We got to do it.
Let's chat.
All right. I love you.
All right.
Thank you.
Love you guys. Bye.
Take care, everyone. Thank you so much. Sorry we didn't answer all your questions and comments. I just don't know.
We've
when
got
to
what
shut the
you
hell up
need.
sometimes.
You got what I need. No, you've got what you need. Go for what you want.
That's right. That's
Pat
right.
Lewis, good show. Thanks for joining us, Pat.
Okay, Eric, you can turn us off now. Jen, stay on, please, when we get off, if you can. Please.
Does this make sense?
Bruce,
Well,
how did you go? Did you go to sleep? End the friggin' show already.
and your producer's name is not Eric, it's Bruce.
It's Bruce.
I said Bruce.
I'm just waiting for you guys to stop talking, and I'll run the exit.
Good luck.
Great show.
Da-da-da-dun-dun.
See you next week.
Da-da-da-dun-dun.